The stage is set in Atlanta, baby. You got Texas and Georgia set to get after it for a guaranteed spot in the college football playoff. Both are already going to be in the college football playoff. This is for a bye in the first round of the college football playoff, which having over 20 days to prep for whoever you got next, to rest up, to get right, pretty valuable when it comes to this whole tournament setting. Right now, if you had to guess, who would you think is favored in this game? And by what? I'll give you a second. Texas minus 2.5 is the line right now. Even though now Georgia went to Austin and beat Texas by 2 scores. We got our prediction for you in this game on Tuesday of this live program. All right, so Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Lock in. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss our prediction for this game. Full transparency, do not know yet who we're going to pick. But these are some of the factors we're looking at as we head into the SEC championship game. Here's one of the big factors. When you watched last game, when these two teams played in Austin, it felt a lot like Georgia was a step ahead. Like Quinn Ewers wasn't seeing the picture totally right. Some of that might be, it was, I believe, his second game back from injury. He was out of rhythm. He was out of sorts. A lot of it, too, you probably just tip the cap to Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart and say, all right, them along with T-Rob, one of the best defensive staffs in college football. Do you have another round? Is there another card you can throw down where you stay a step ahead of Quinn Ewers? Because here's how I feel, man. I don't know that I believe that Texas will be as out of sorts offensively. I don't think that Steve Sarkeesian, I don't think that Quinn Ewers and his experience will be as behind the 8 ball as they looked in that game in Austin. So the answers on the defensive side of the ball for Georgia, do you have them? Do you have things that can still stay ahead of this offensive line, where you can still keep Quinn Ewers off balance, where you can essentially keep the strong point of this Texas offense, or one of the strong points, rather, the exclamation mark, rather, the haymaker of this Texas offense, which is the deep ball passing game, which they haven't had as much of lately, but I think could be a backbreaker in this game against Georgia. Are you able to negate that by muddying up the picture? For Texas, kind of the same question in that vein is like, do you have something to overcome what you didn't have last time? Because last time you saw Texas look a little bit uncharacteristic when it came to what they were doing running the football. Now, a lot of that I think you point to, well, hey, JD, they got sacked 7 times. So when you're sitting in 2nd and 16 or 3rd and 12, like, yeah, we're probably not running the football, so that impacts the rushing numbers, obviously. But what do you know about Sark, man? In big spots especially, he's getting in his bag. All right, I've told you he's a program builder. I think that also he's a tremendous play caller. That's how he cut his teeth in this game. Like, he's going to bring a game plan. Now, is there enough of a game plan to overcome all the things we just said about Georgia and what they do on that side of the football defensively? Another question, another thing you got to monitor in this whole deal. We mentioned the 7 sacks Georgia had defensively against Texas last time. That just wrecked the game. That was the story. Carson Beck threw 3 picks for Georgia. It didn't matter in large part because Texas could not get anything going offensively. Is that just the trump card that Georgia can play once again? I'd be surprised if that was the case based on how experienced Texas is up front on the offensive line. But like, they had the same experience on the offensive line the last time they played them. Didn't make a difference. Like, PicKell Williams got after him. Jalen Walker got after him. It wasn't like there was this extremely complex scheme, I suppose, from Georgia when it came to what they did on the defensive line. Sure, some stunts, some twists, of course, but at the end of the day, Kirby Smart loves to talk about blocking and tackling. Georgia was better at that than Texas on that day. And so it's cliche to say, but I truly believe we talk so much about the scheme of Steve Sarkeesian and the experience of Quinn Ewers and the playmakers and how concerned, quite frankly, I get about the Georgia secondary. But if you have 1.5 Mississippi to throw the football, it doesn't matter what kind of play you have dialed up because you're not even getting to where you want to go with the football. So is that the major differentiating factor? Is the gap still that wide when it comes to Georgia on the defensive line versus Texas on the offensive line as it was in the first round of this game? Because if it is, I think we could see a very, very similar result. But right in line with that, man, I mentioned Carson Beck and the 3 picks. I don't think you can throw 3 picks yet again against this Texas defense and expect to win the football game. Quinn Ewers, I think he looked better against A&M. I said I think he was in better rhythm. I think you saw more flashes of I don't want to say old Quinn Ewers because that sounds like he's just totally dropped off a cliff. But the way that he started the year, you saw more of that version of him at different times against A&M. Which quarterback finds it, man? Because in a game like this, has Georgia been inconsistent? Of course. Has Texas had some higher and lower points at different points in the year? The lower point obviously being the game against Georgia, the higher point being Michigan early in the year and A&M. There's a wide range, I think, from both these teams. But if we're looking at both these teams averaging out to their roster talent, I think you could argue they're both pretty comparable. So when roster talent is right around the same, who makes the play to elevate? And Georgia's been very Carson Beck dependent this year. I think that'll be the same deal in this game when it comes down to crunch time. For Texas, same deal with Quinn Ewers. Like, he came back for a reason. He came back to win the SEC, obviously improve his draft stock, but like in this spot now, I think you got to have your experienced third-year starting quarterback make the difference for you with all the weapons that you have on the perimeter and with how you're running the football as of late. So there's a lot to go into this, but to put it simply, quarterback, who makes the difference? Who finds it first and who finds it the longest when it comes to winning this game in Atlanta? I cannot wait for this one. Again, both are in the college football playoff. I wouldn't go so far as to say this is the last time we see this matchup. Just a little preface there, but I can't wait for this one. We'll give you our reaction as soon as this game ends. We'll give you our prediction on Tuesday. It's here, baby. Conference title weekend is here. We're going to enjoy the heck out of it. Here's a quick early look at Georgia and Texas. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Love y'all. Appreciate the heck out of y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.